my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Welcome to Life Gorgeous, Craigers. This is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life, and I think we are improving. One of us here has never had an espresso martini. The other guy doesn't have them anymore. Am I right about that?
Okay. That is true. The fact that you've never had one is a little scary to me, but you did miss out, but I have not had one since our little intervention. So I'm cleaner. I have less sugar in my system, and hopefully I'll be able to live a little longer now to watch one of our favorite teams win a championship.
Our Timberwolves. He's not talking about the Vikings, but we will talk about the Vikings. We'll talk about the Wolves. So first, let's get to know Kyle. I have had Kahlua and cream when I was in my 30s. I know about these sweet chocolatey drinks. So I don't know what people call you. I'm going to give you a few things I've heard. I've done my research. Comforting Kyle. Nice guy. Comforting Kyle. Courteous Kyle. You're very polite. I don't think you've ever raised your voice in your life. Have you ever, in elementary school, did you ever throw a punch or get in a scuffle with the classmate?
All right, look at me. I'm 6'2", 174, coming out of the shower. I was not a fighter. I had to use my words and not my lack of muscles. So I was a chubby kid in middle school, had a big head, still have a big head. It's probably why I wear a lot of hats. But
you mean you're talking about you're not arrogant, you just have a large cranium
literally
for
like a size 8 and at 3/4 fitted hat. So massive head, kind of chubby body, worked it off in college. Healthier now thanks to you, but I have kind of replaced the sweet drinks with like caffeinated ones. So you might hear about a vodka Red Bull or two. But again, I'm a big caffeine guy, and I think depending on the research, caffeine is giving me a stronger heart. So we'll see. But yeah, no more sugar, no more sweet drinks. I'm not a sweet
That's
guy.
Smart. Well, let me just tell you about caffeine. It's good for you.
Okay,
and
thank you.
Coffee, I've talked to some doctors, and my liver is healthy because of coffee helps after you drink alcohol at night. You have coffee in the morning. It's good for your liver.
Okay.
Craig does not drink caffeine or coffee after 12 noon. How do you sleep, sir, if you have a Red Bull at night, Red Bull and vodka, which I do not advise?
Like a baby. I don't know. I sleep really well. Every now and then some melatonin, which then gets you into those dreams where like you're fighting Godzilla.
Right.
But sleep is important. I'm on a good 7.5 hours. I too try not to have caffeine after like 4.
Okay.
But after noon, I mean, again, the point of doing these pods isn't so much to talk about Minnesota sports. It's just to get some health advice. So I will try to dial it back a little bit. But yeah, coffee. I'm not doing anything in the morning, Craig, without a big cup of coffee. Like I'm not even thinking about functioning until there's some caffeine in my system.
So I drink coffee with milk. I never put in a sweetener. There was a time I did it black, but it was too acidic for my stomach. So I do a little whole milk. I've tried almond milk. I can't have any sweets. If almond milk has sugar, I'm not doing it. So I just do whole milk or 2% milk, whatever. I do milk. So don't add anything. I guess so you're saying at night, the vodka Red Bull, you need a little something in there. Gosh, I don't know. Vermouth makes it a martini. I guess you could do orange juice. That's a natural sweetener, but I wouldn't. You can't just drink vodka on the rocks, right? That's too strong.
It's a little too strong. Also, I don't think this is where the podcast is going, but orange juice, worst of the juices in my mind. Oh, okay. Just not an orange juice guy.
I don't drink orange juice, so I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I was just, tonic water has quinine or quinine, whatever that is, not supposed to be good for you. You could do seltzer or soda water. You could do that, or just a Pellegrino, which is sparkling water and vodka.
Or if I really cared about my health, I could just stop watching the Vikings because that has been the worst. And that has been like 10 espresso martinis to the dome lately, and nothing was worse than yesterday. Was like the classic Minnesota sports down and then up, much like a caffeine high and a vodka Red Bull. So started my Sunday off in the worst way possible, and then it wrapped up better. And then you gave me the text to come talk about it. So
yeah,
It's like a vodka Red Bull, the Minnesota Vikings to me.
We're going to talk about the Vikings, but I'm still getting to know Kyle.
All
Okay,
right.
here are the other nicknames I've heard. Comedic Kyle, because you're very funny. I've heard Comedic
Okay.
Kyle, Courteous Kyle, Nice Guy, Comforting Kyle. Complex Kyle, I don't know if that exists. I don't know if there's a dark side, maybe a gambling side. That's why you were exiled to Portland. I don't know. But you seem like a nice guy. What nickname do you like? Oh, there's also Cute Kyle because the women like Kyle.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of cute Kyle anymore as the gray hairs start to come in. My last name being Theige kind of sounds like tiger. So I was Tigger growing up a lot, which I kind of shed in high school because it's not so cool to walk around high school or college being named after like one of Winnie the Pooh's friends.
Yeah.
But I can go with, no one wants to say that they're funny, but Comedic Kyle,
Yeah.
that's what I try to bring to these shows is a little humor and a little fun. But whatever you want to call me, it's not going to be as cool as Lord Kilby, but I am in the need of a nickname. So whatever you or the comment section think is appropriate, I will run with that.
I'm sure you've heard because we've all heard this. Special K.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
That's
I'm going to ask my wife about that. That might be a really good one.
Special K. I think Clark Kellogg was also called Special K. I'm dying to know. Now, you went to high school in North Dakota, correct?
Correct.
I'm dying to know what kind of student you were.
Oh,
I'm going to say a B, but you didn't concentrate. But you're very bright, but maybe you didn't concentrate like Krager's. So maybe a B, B plus, B minus, B.
Spot on. Like
Really?
I'm not a big prep guy.
Right.
And people that listen to my podcast are like, yeah, we know that. So not a big prep guy. A's, B's, the way I got into college was one day at lunch, they had like a table in my local university and they're like, hey, are you a felon? And I was like, no, I'm not a felon. And they're like, okay, well, you get in. So that's how I got to the University of North Dakota. I didn't really apply anywhere else. But yeah, kind of a B student, played some sports, played basketball and soccer. Again, kind of a B level athlete.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise anyone that knows me or has listened to me, but I took it seriously enough, to get into college. I went to grad school, but I was never someone that's like, you remember video games? Like those are still a thing, but I was a big video game guy. So it was like video games or studying. I typically grab the controller over the textbook.
Never played video games. Pac-Man came out when I was in college. Could care less. There was pinball machines when I was growing up, and went up to the cabin. We'd play a little pinball. I guess. Yeah. I wasn't into that stuff. What was your graduating class number? Was it 300 students, 200 students?
I think it was like 250.
Okay.
I think the Red River High School, Red River Rough Riders, I think we were like 800, 900 deep in all, between the 4 years. So I think our graduating class was like 250 some. So I think for some people listening to this, that's really small.
Right.
I've got friends out here in Oregon that like the graduating classes are 600, 700 people. So I can't even imagine that.
Did you play basketball? And if so, I want to guess your points per game as a senior.
I played basketball my first 2 years. I did play all the way through senior year of soccer. We won a state title. No big deal. But as basketball, I was more of a cheering on my friends junior and senior year. But you can guess because I probably have my freshman stats ingrained in my brain. But I was not much of a scorer. On and off the court, I was more of a facilitator. And I was a big assist guy. That's kind of why I always talk about Ricky Rubio. That was not as flashy, but that was more of my game, wanting to set others up. So I think freshman year, shout out to Coach Veriano. I averaged like a 10 assists a game. And
no way.
Yeah, because we ran a lot of like dead set plays where it's just like the best player on the JV team, like just run around a couple screens, catch the ball and shoot. He was averaging like 20 shot attempts a game, but it was easy for me to manufacture assists because a lot of times it ended with a pretty easy play. But yeah, not much of a scorer, a little bit of a defender, but really tried to get others involved in the offense. 2
points per game. I thought what's that? Yeah. Okay.
Probably.
Quickly and the thing I like about Kyle, ladies and gentlemen, is I didn't tell him we're going to get to know Kyle, and he just rolls with it. He doesn't want prep. He doesn't want to know anything.
Nope.
He just wants the Life Gorgeous appearance check. He wants that on time. Comes on Wednesday, right into his account. Then he goes out and buys Red Bull, blah, blah, blah. I want to talk before we go Vikings.
Okay.
I just want to hear I assume you and your significant other watch series streamers. What shows do you watch? Because I have a list of shows that I've watched and I'm watching, and I want to know if you've seen any of the ones that I've seen. But go ahead.
Well, we were big Severance people, so we're
Mhm.
excited for the next Severance. We have Apple TV.
Mhm.
We just checked out over the weekend. I think it was just the first episode, but have you heard about, is it Pluribus?
I've heard the name. I have not seen it.
It's with you're gonna know the name better than I, but the guy who did Breaking Bad, I believe,
Mhm.
Vince Gilligan. So
Yeah.
that's been really good. We watched The Bear, but then I think The Bear got kind of less and less. And
Mhm.
then shout out to our friend, but this weekend we also started watching the Alex versus A-Rod documentary just to get to know our boss a little more. But
Right.
we're always open to new things because yeah, The Bear kind of turned, and we feel like we're also in like Christmas movie season. So my wife
Sure.
is just running back all of her favorite Christmas movies for the next 60 days, I guess.
Right.
But what is there something I should be watching that you got?
I'll tell you ones that the few of these that have been out and I'm rewatching them. The one that's out now that I watched was Task, which was pretty good.
Okay.
That's with Mark Ruffalo.
Okay.
Pretty good. The Offer is unbelievable, but that's on Paramount and you'd have to get it for like a month or a week.
Okay.
That's the making
Offer.
of The Godfather. That's
Oh, okay.
outrageous. It's a 10-part series. Miles Teller. That's amazing. I've always told people about Bosch on Amazon Prime. That was their first scripted series. It's really good. Titus Welliver, very good actor. Currently rewatching The Jackal on Peacock
Okay.
with Eddie Redmayne. That's great. He's an assassin. And then I like Gary Oldman, so we watch Slow Horses. Those are a few. So you can rewatch or watch any of those. Just to,
Well, I wrote those all down because, as you know, as a basketball fan, I have to subscribe to 14 different platforms now. So I need I
it's
gotta
unbelievable.
I gotta make this Peacock subscription work for me.
I know.
I will hit that show now that I have to subscribe to Peacock, Amazon Prime Plus. So I appreciate that because these subscriptions are starting to get to me, and I need to maximize the value.
So The Jackal is based on a movie called The Day of the Jackal.
Okay.
And this guy was
Oh
a
yeah.
hired assassin back in Europe, the movie. And now there's this guy, Eddie Redmayne, the actor. There's only been one season there. The second season is coming out.
Okay.
It's expensive to shoot. So, but it's in Europe. He's great. He's an assassin. He gets hired. He has a family life. His wife doesn't know what he does. And then she kind of figures something out is going on. That's in season 1. Highly recommend it. It's better the third time around.
Okay. I should also say my wife can kind of hear me, and she texted me and she said, "Tell Craig to watch Shrinking." Shrinking is as someone who's big on mental health, like Shrinking is a really good one. So many like famous people, and they all kind of like have really good chemistry for, just a show. It all seems like a real life thing, but that's a good one to remind everyone to take care of their mental health while also good emotions, makes you cry. I feel like I cry at every episode. Also
It's a
makes you laugh.
scripted series, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I've heard of it. I have not seen it. I'll tell you the one Princess Cherry watches that I don't watch.
Okay.
I bet you money you or your wife watches it. The Diplomat.
Oh yeah. Abby's watching that. Yep.
Is it good?
It's good.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Purple Pride. What a game at Detroit, right? When we won at Detroit?
Yep. I think that was that at home? Well, either way.
No, it was at Detroit.
Yep, that made it even
and
bigger.
JJ had the pass to Speedy to clinch the win. And now we're playing at home to Baltimore. So what are your emotions? What are your takes away from the game? Because I got a lot of things that are bothering me, constructive criticism. What's your takeaway from the loss at home to the Baltimore Ravens?
You are right. Now that I remember, because JJ McCarthy went back home to Michigan and beat the Lions. So that was like about as stock up as it gets for the Vikings for JJ McCarthy. I know that first week against the Bears and the comeback was cool, but to do it against a really good Lions team was awesome. So it had never been better vibes. And then you fast forward a week, and that's the beauty of the NFL. But I don't know if the vibes have ever been worse for this season for the Vikings. And you and I are still diehard basketball guys. So when we do basketball analysis, it's like first thing I point to is, can you get the rebounds and can you stop turning the ball over? For the Vikings yesterday, I don't know the last time. Like, is it even possible for a team to have 9 false starts at home? I mean, that just nuked any sort of offensive game plan that KOC had. Much like the Detroit game, much like the Bears game, I thought McCarthy had some good throws.
Yep.
I thought he also had some just throws that you and I are more shot doctors than we are quarterback, mechanics guys. But you can tell some of his mechanics are just off. And the more I watch football, the more I realize that if your feet are, Fred Flintstone in it a little bit, like you start letting them sail and you start putting guys in kind of hospital ball territory. So I don't know. The Ravens, as soon as they got Lamar Jackson back, everyone was like, okay, the Ravens are going to make a run. But yesterday was a tough game on the road. And I feel like, I don't know what you think, Craig, but that was like a bad loss. Like, I think the Vikings had multiple opportunities yesterday. The defense played well enough.
Defense played well. Yeah.
Derrick Henry didn't go off or anything.
Right.
And for them to just not be able to execute and have some of these boneheaded plays and then all the penalties, which are just shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
That was a tough loss that pretty much erased all of the goodwill you built up a week ago in Detroit.
Yeah, so they had 8 false starts, which was since 2005, it's the most by a home team, because usually on the road you'll have some false starts. And I heard something, and I don't know if it's true, because this is one of those things when you keep learning about the game. But Aaron Jones said, oh yeah, they were messing with us. In other words, the defense was saying, hut. The defense was doing some stuff to throw off the offensive line. I don't know what's going on there. So I like JJ McCarthy. I'm not going to make a decision on him for a while. I think he has some intangibles. I actually had Jim Suhan on, who's very opinionated, and I asked him, because I was excited about JJ, and I have some friends who are Bears fans, and Caleb Williams is so talented. But I said, who would you rather have after 3 games with JJ McCarthy? This was before yesterday. JJ McCarthy or Caleb Williams? He said JJ McCarthy. So he believes in him. I still believe in him. He's got stuff to work on. I'm one of those guys that at some point I will say, it would be next season. I would say, I think we got to look for somebody else. I could say at the end of this season, but as of now, I think he's special. I think he's good. I think there's a learning curve. I think we're going to have a rough season. Don't know if we're going to make the playoffs. Here's the elephant in the room for me. Did you hear? Now, I've had a problem with KOC. I like him. They say he doesn't run the ball enough. That's true. That's true. But when he does pass, I want shorter routes. I want to protect the quarterback, pick apart, and then take a few long shots, but not all the time. Did you hear what our friend Judd Zolgad said yesterday and today? I can't wait to tell you what it is.
I might have, but I want you to say it eloquently.
He wants to have KOC relinquish play calling for the Vikings. Now, I would do Wes Phillips if that were the case. It's not going to happen because that's KOC's baby. That's what he wants to do. He didn't get to do it with the Rams because Sean McVay was doing it. And it would be Wes Phillips. Judd wants it to be Josh. What's it? Josh McCown.
Oh, Josh McCown. Yeah.
And KOC would never bypass his buddy Wes Phillips, and I like Wes Phillips. First of all, it's not happening. KOC would never do that. That's like Zimmer not calling the defense in KOC's mind. Correct?
Oh, 100% correct. That would be like if you started letting me host the Craig Kilborn podcast. Like that, you're not going to give that up, especially when you've been touted for being an offensive guru and a wizard. You're not going to. I mean, literally yesterday, as we just talked about the Vikings beating Detroit a week ago, you saw in Detroit the head coach take over the play calling duties, which is kind of more of like a strong arm, like I'm in control move.
Right.
So for the Minnesota coach to be like, I'm actually going to give these plays up. There is no moment in history where a head coach gives up the play calling.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I mean, it might work, but like that gained more power in the locker room or in the organization. I mean, I know some of the Harbaugh brothers at times can be like the CEO on the field and have each, side of the government doing their own thing, but I don't think KOC is at the Harbaugh level yet. Right. And there's no chance he's going to give it up. But I do see Judd's point because yesterday, Craig, I think they had 23 third or fourth downs, and they passed on all 20 of those. They never once ran the ball, and a couple of those were like goal-to-go situations. So you're putting your rookie quarterback in a situation. I mean, to the Caleb Williams stuff, Caleb Williams is really good, really promising, has a lot of flaws still. He played all last season.
Yep.
JJ McCarthy didn't. Like, he is on game 4.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought the elephant in the room was going to be, not to steal your thunder, I thought it was just going to be the concept of, I'm still in on McCarthy. Like, I'm still holding the stock. But it might take some time, as we see with Caleb Williams. Hell, Drake May is an MVP candidate for the Patriots. He was brutal last year. So you got to take your lumps.
Yeah.
How many guys on this team, though, are ready to win right now? And I think you saw a little bit of that yesterday with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, what was that? That was my other question. He gets picked off, the interception, and he's lackadaisical, doesn't really try to tackle the guy. And I'm a big Jefferson fan as anybody, you know?
And he's been the least like diva at a position where, you know, they take pride in him. Like, the wide receivers in the NFL are divas, and they kind of cop to it, but he's been above the fray.
Yeah.
And the interception that he then is kind of like trying to, I don't know, shepherd the guy or whatever. Sometimes you see wide receivers do that because they don't want to get burned on a cut right away. So he's trying to like force him to the sideline. I was more concerned with just some of the plays that he dropped. I know after the game, he said the ball just didn't really find my way. I don't know if that's accurate, because I thought he had like 8 targets or whatever. On the
he had
day.
a lot of targets. The one in the end
targets.
zone, he was afraid to get popped because it was across the middle. The one where he caught it right there, the other guy was going to pop him, and he kind of froze up. But he had a bad game, and everyone's questioning his attitude. So
and I guess, you know, for him though, he does deserve the benefit of the doubt, because he's pretty much, I mean, he's gone through a lot of quarterbacks, right? Like, I know Sam Darnold is cooking right now in Seattle, and Daniel Jones is playing really well for Indianapolis. And that makes this whole thing even kind of more stressful or tense for Vikings fans. But he's also played with like Josh Dobbs. So he's been out there for some hospital balls. But yeah, yesterday, like that slant across the goal line, it's like,
that was the one. Yeah.
You're the best player at your position, I think, even, you know, respect to Jamar Chase. It's like, that's just one you got to make.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like, with this rookie quarterback, on every third and fourth down, you're having him throw. The offensive line's getting healthier, but still a little beaten up. And then your best player, because that's what Justin Jefferson is, isn't helping you out like he helped out Kirk Cousins on that fourth down in Buffalo, right? Where he goes up and gets that OBJ kind of catch. So it's not great right now. And I get Judd's point about maybe changing the play calls or whatever. I would imagine they go back to the well and say, we're going to fine tune rather than blow anything up. But it's tough right now. It's tough right now in Egan.
Well, I think what Judd did, he knows it's not going to happen, but what he did, he spoke for all of us to light a fire under KOC. Now, KOC is going to hear that. He hears everything Sports Dad says. He's going to look in the mirror and say, I gotta do better.
Mm-hmm.
I got to run the ball. I got to have shorter routes. He's not watching The Life Gorgeous. He's too busy, but he's listening to Sports Dad. He hears him. I don't know if any of that's true. Do we beat the Bears at home? I always feel like we can beat the Bears, but I do love Ben Johnson, the coach of the Bears.
Yeah, he is kind of doing a younger KOC thing where he's redoing a culture at an organization that, I mean, they've had, how many quarterbacks have they gone through? How many owners or coaches have they gone through? So I watched that whole Bears game yesterday too. I didn't think they were that, I mean, they were pretty much losing to a New York Giants team that you wake up Monday has fired their coach. So they didn't really play anyone maybe as good as a ferocious Ravens team, but they find ways to win. And I think you kind of saw that last year with KOC and whoever he had out there, obviously mostly Sam Darnold, but they just found ways to win. I think they were like, 9-1 in 1-score games or whatever. So they're great at that. That was clearly going to regress. But now you have a situation where it seems like you're almost finding ways to lose. So I do think getting a Bears team is a pretty good rebound. But yeah, after everything they did in Detroit and like, okay, they're back in the playoff mix, you lose at home to the Ravens. The season is a little bit on the line when the Bears come to town.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we'll make the playoffs. I was optimistic after Detroit, thought we'd go on a run. We're just wildly inconsistent. I do want to say, I'll repeat this. I liked Sam Darnold because he's athletic and has an arm. But based on his last 2 games, I said, in the clutch, he's going to tighten up. So I'm okay with them letting him go. I just thought now he held the ball too long in the last two games at Detroit, playoff game against Los Angeles. I don't know if that's the routes, but I think it was Sam tightening and not wanting to let it rip. So I don't think JJ McCarthy, I've said this before, maybe I'm just being optimistic. He's not going to tighten up in the pressure situations. He may screw up, but he's not going to tighten up and just hold the ball and get sacked. Anyway.
And the Sam Darnold stuff too, like they put up 44 points at home yesterday.
Yeah.
He had 3 turnovers. He only threw the ball 12 times.
Yeah, 12 times.
He's having a great season, but I think the Sam Darnold stuff is like, let's see how he performs. He was great last year for the Vikings, and he deserved that contract. But let's see how you perform when the pressure's up, right? Even the Seahawks play the Rams coming up. Like the Rams are probably the favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. I want to see it against him. But yeah, back to McCarthy. Like you did make your bed. Now you got to sleep in it a little bit. And to me, playoffs, no playoffs, you got to know, Craig, at the end of this season, if he's the guy.
Right.
Because I still think they have a lot of the right pieces around him. But that's why the Carson Wentz stuff was driving me crazy, even though as a North Dakotan, my dad was like, yeah, let's give him another chance. It's like, no, he's going to die on the field.
Yeah.
They got to give McCarthy as many reps as possible and see, like, 2 months from now when the season ends, whether it be playoffs or no playoffs, is he the guy we go into next season with? And if he's not, then everyone in this organization has to pivot and pivot fast, because I still think they have championship caliber players around the quarterback.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Wolves Pride, the Wolves spanked Sacramento last night. Rudy was on fire playing defense, doing everything, dribbling, dunking. Before I get to that, I just want to say I didn't see the second half against the Knicks because I have social events sometimes. And if we would have won, I would have rewatched it. I saw that the Knicks exploded for 40 points in a couple of quarters. How bad were the Wolves in the second half against the Knicks? I did not see it.
Yeah, they let go of the rope a little bit. I mean, they got blown out in New York. Knicks Wolves is always going to be a thing now because of the trade with Karl-Anthony Towns, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. But they were up at half, and then Ant was his first game back with the hamstring thing. He was rusty. The defense was not good. The Timberwolves finished the game, I believe, with 9 offensive rebounds. Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks finished the game with 9 offensive rebounds. They couldn't, when they did get a stop defensively, I think they gave up 84 points in the second half. When they got a stop, it led to an offensive rebound and then another opportunity. The Knicks had 102 field goal attempts, which I have not seen in a long time in a box score. So they just didn't really bring it. And right now, this team is in kind of a, when we play bad teams, we're good, and when we play good teams, we're bad. But their schedule right now is littered with bad teams. And I think it's kind of like when varsity got to scrimmage against JV. They're going to use that opportunity to refine some things. And I thought you saw it last night. The Kings aren't good, but they're also not bad. And you saw them really play awesome defense last night. And then offensively, you wake up this morning, they're the 4th team in the league in offensive rating. Like, this team has become an offensive juggernaut while their defense is really struggling. So a little bit of a pivot from what their identity used to be, but it's helping them win games.
Julius Randle is playing extremely well. Love his game right now. Ant's great. Back to the Knicks game. Did Karl-Anthony Towns, who people should know, I'm a Karl-Anthony Towns fan. I'm happy he's in New York for him, just like I was happy that Kevin Garnett went to Boston if the Wolves don't want him. Did he dunk against the Wolves?
He caught the ball right underneath the basket. Maybe a 3-second call, but Ant was trying to defend him, and Ant's strong and built like a Derrick Henry running back, and he was trying to hold him up as long as he could, but Carl ended up turning around and just kind of dunking all over him. Post game, Ant told our friend Dane Moore and everyone else in attendance that, like, I was wondering where the help was. If you watch the play, there was no help from Rudy or Jaden. But yeah, Cat did on one end kind of yam it on Ant, but then on the other end had 2 times where, and I don't miss this as much as I do miss him, just had the off-arm Heisman thing where he just completely dislodged his defender, offensive foul. So you got the full Karl-Anthony Towns experience in that Knicks game, popping threes, also popping the opponent and getting an offensive foul.
Did he dunk on Rudy?
I think he also dunked on Rudy. Yeah, he got everyone. Good game for Cat. Good game for Cat.
You know how Jokic will bang, and he'll bang down his body and back you down and then loft a little 7-foot soft jump shot. Cat doesn't know how to bang like that. He does it like Magic Johnson used to use his off arm because he's 6'8", 6'9", and you couldn't steal it from him because he'd give you a forearm shiv. But yeah, Cat'll he'll use the free arm, and sometimes he gets away with it, but other times he doesn't. So I'm really a big fan of Jalen Clark, and I guess what they're doing now is this lineup. When Rudy sits, they have Jaden McDaniels and Jalen Clark playing with Julius Randle and Naz Reid, and it seems to be working.
When Rudy Gobert, for those that aren't aware right now, when Rudy Gobert goes off the court, the Minnesota Timberwolves are the worst defense in the league, or at least they were.
Is that true, or is that an exaggeration?
No, that's like literally true. Like their defensive rating is like 28th, 29th, 30th. So they are as bad as the Wizards when Rudy's off the court. And now when Rudy's on the court, you have questions about the offense. You have question about his rebounding rate, I believe, is the lowest since he got to Minnesota. So but they don't really, because they're not going to do the Johan Berenger thing, the rookie they drafted. He's just not ready yet. He has the size. Some nights I'm like, well, just throw 6'11" out there and see what physical traits can do. But you can tell even last night in the Kings game, he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's the biggest compliment for a young kid. But he dunked the ball last night when the game was over. And you could hear his whole bench be like, no, like show sportsmanship. And he dunked it anyway because he didn't know. He just saw the ball and he's like, I got to put it in the rim. So if they don't have Rudy on the court, Chris Finch goes to a Julius Randle, Naz Reid 4-5 lineup. And those guys were getting cooked. So they have supplemented that by putting their two best on-ball defenders in Jalen Clark and Jaden McDaniels. Obviously, there was no Ant for a while, but it's helping. I think they're like plus 13 now in net rating with those four guys in a rotation or in a lineup. I still like having Jaden McDaniels off ball to kind of protect the rim more. And that's what Jalen Clark helps with, right? Like Jalen Clark, you go take James Harden, you go take Zach LaVine, Jamal Murray, and then Jaden can kind of hover. I think Jaden McDaniels leads the team in blocks, or he did as of yesterday morning, which is like a massive thing. So that little two-man pairing has been really interesting. And I think Chris Finch is open to giving these younger guys more minutes if they can show a discernible skill. And Jalen Clark's skill is being awesome defensively.
He's a stud.
So those two work really well together.
He's a stud. Jaden McDaniels offensively having a career year. I mean, he's just making all these shots, right? He
has taken a leap and then some. I think he was shooting like 58% from three before the Kings game. But it's just if you're a Jaden McDaniels fan, which I have been since he got here, it's just watching what he does. Like he is so comfortable now. Last night he got the ball in like the slot, came around to the top, and then just kind of hesitation dribble, and then got right to the rim, left-handed finish, and one. And then the next play, he helps out Rudy on a Sabonis post up and blocks and sends the ball into the fifth row. So I think this is probably the best version you've ever seen. He's paid like the 66th best, or the 66th biggest contract in the league this season, but he's probably a top 50 guy now. So the value you have with him, and Julius to me is still the story, because Julius Randle is like flirting with all NBA through the first month of the season, but you knew Ant and Julius were going to be your two best players, but to Jaden to be the third best player by a country mile right now ahead of Rudy, and to be doing what he's doing on both sides, it's really, really promising. And I've liked that Chris Finch has found ways, mostly in transition, which has been an emphasis for this team now. When Jaden McDaniels gets in transition, Craig, like it's kind of over. So huge leap for him. And that's something that if that's sustainable, I do think it kind of changes the whole view of this thing.
Yeah, you got excited when I mentioned his name. You almost fainted.
He is. He is my favorite player. I watched him in college, but I have a thing for 6'10" kind of two-way guys. We'll just put it that way.
Well, he's got a personality.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fun guy for sure.
He's so stoic and low key. What are your thoughts? I always like to ask on Rob Dillingham. Where are you at right now with Rob Dillingham?
I've enjoyed that he's gotten a little more of a leash. It kind of goes back. There is some similarities between him and JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy has to play. You built the whole thing around him. They didn't build the whole thing around Rob, but they do need what Rob brings. And there's nights where he's just going to get punished. Like in that Knicks game, by the way, there was 2 or 3 times just simple high pick and roll that Mike Brown for the Knicks called, and all of a sudden Rob is switched on to Cat, and Cat just buried him in the basket. So, but that's not all on Rob. The whole defense was bad. I think he has a real good chemistry with Naz Reid, which is important because Naz Reid has probably been the most disappointing player through the first couple of weeks, but he has a huge asterisk next to his name because of what he dealt with the loss of his sister just a couple of months ago. So I'm giving him a lot of grace and a long runway to figure it out. But having a point guard out there that can get Naz, into good shots, get him moving, get him in these 3-point attempts, like that's huge. And then Rob also has some good chemistry with Rudy, and you've seen that. Like he knows how to get Rudy the ball on lobs, how to get on the cut from the baseline. So I've liked what Rob is doing. And if you would have seen Rob playing like this in year 1, you'd have been like, okay, totally normal rookie stuff. He didn't get a chance last year, so now it's like the rookie bumps and lumps in year 2. But for the most part, I think he's doing a really good job. The point guard position, I don't think he's the answer. If any, like in terms of like against OKC or against Portland in game 1 gave Minnesota fits with the full court press, but I think he's showing a real asset and value. So between him and between Mike, and then obviously Dante is the starter, and he's having a great season.
Yep.
They're trying to kind of patch it as they go. And all 3 guys have given them something, but I don't know if they've given you enough yet to be like, okay, that's going to be an answer to the OKC thing come April or May.
Yeah. So I root for Rob.
Yep.
I've kind of accepted that he's not going to be the player I want him to be. Sometimes he's just too small, gets in a crowd, looks silly, gets blocked. Not a pure shooter. Too inconsistent. But I root for him. But if we trade him, I'm okay with that. Then I don't have to worry about it. Like if we get somebody. Speaking of trades, does Kyle Theige want Ja Morant or not?
No. 1,000 no's. And there's 2 ways to look at it. Like it makes sense in like one prism of your brain because the Timberwolves, clearly their biggest issue is actually defensively, but their roster issue is that they have a bunch of guys that aren't really meant to play point guard. Mike's a little too old. Dante's more of an off-ball shooter, and then Rob is just a little too small to be the starting guy, but I think he could be a valuable asset off the bench. But you don't have a starting point guard. So Ja Morant would fit that. I really don't love athletic guards that can't shoot or like haven't gotten better as shooters, while also just fearing that as their athleticism goes down, their value is going to crater. Right. I think Ja Morant's shooting 12% from 3. So I don't know how he's going to space the floor alongside Ant. They would be dynamic, those 2 in a backcourt, especially for a team that's trying to increase their pace and increase their transition. But that's a lot of basketball stuff. Yeah. Just off the court, I just don't know if that has. I know that the Wolves have checked in on Ja Morant. That's oftentimes just what you do to be like, okay, what is the price? Would you take a 2nd round pick? Like obviously that would never happen, but to check in, and that's what Tim Conley does best. I don't want that guy anywhere around this franchise.
Okay. Good. I like the strong opinion. I'm not a fan of his, but part of me is like when Finchie last year says, when you can win a championship, go for it. They were trying to get Kevin Durant. Initially, I didn't want Kevin Durant. Then I said, oh, okay, it's talent. He's talented, but Ja Morant's talented, but I don't care for him. I do think, I've said this over and over again, it's kind of easy to say we still are a player away from a championship to get past OKC. We could upset them in a series if everybody plays well. If Rudy, our big guys, Julius and Ant are going to play well. If Rudy plays well and Jaden and Naz and Jalen Clark, if everyone plays well, we could upset them, I guess. The thing about the point guard is they've said that they don't have the true point guards a lot in the league now. So, Ant can bring it up. Dante, if he's not pressured, can bring it up. If they're pressured, if the other team says we're going to pressure Ant, then you have to have people help them, bring in Mike. But yeah, I think you can do it without a true point guard, but because you're going to have Ant kind of monopolizing the ball the way Shea does. I don't consider Shea a true point guard at all, but he handles the ball at the end of the game and they just spread out. But anyway.
And one of the answers to the whole, I still worry come playoff time. I was in Portland for the season opener a couple of weeks ago, and they just blitzed the Wolves ball handler 94 feet for 48 minutes. And you can't do that in a regular season for 82 games. You just don't have the bandwidth. You don't have the energy from these guys on back-to-backs and 4 games and 5 nights, whatever. but in the playoffs you do. So I think that'll be the first thing that an opposing team scouts against Minnesota as the playoffs is like, hey, they don't have a ton of strong ball handlers. Pressure them as soon as they inbound it. With that said, the play of Julius Randle, to kind of go back to what you said at the top, he has been so good and he can bring the ball up. They're like, maybe that supplements a little bit. But yeah, for now, they don't really worry about having a quarterback one. They just kind of throw out a bunch of guys and feel like they'll patch it together. And then again, back to the Dante stuff, a year ago, he was really miserable. Like you talked to him and he probably took the trade the worst, moving his family across. He didn't know anything about Minnesota. He looks so comfortable out there. I think he has to wear the mask for the rest of his career, even if his nose is okay. Like he had like 21 threes in the last 4 games. He had that tip dunk last night. I did not know that was in his arsenal. So yeah, maybe they just lean more into Julius and Ant being ball handlers, Jaden too, and then just supplementing with guys who fit as shooters, as playmakers alongside Ant.
Should I think of Dante as the quick release or the rim protector?
Oh, he takes pride in being the rim protector. He'll tell you that in the locker room for sure. But the quick release stuff is it is Malik Beasley-esque where he can just fly around the screen. I don't know. I'm sure you were doing a lot of that back in college too, where you just sprint around the screen and then be able to stop, have your body totally balanced and get a good look.
Flick the wrist, hold the follow through.
It is
snap it. Downtown Freddie Brown, Mark Price.
You have to love watching him play. I mean, when his confidence is through the roof right now, and then you can see it leak into like now he's not afraid to go to the rim, and when he can get to the rim, he can throw lobs to Rudy. So having a guy that can just space the floor. Dane Moore's big thing is having Dante one pass away from Ant or Julius, because if he's one pass away, we kind of coined it the Timberwolves read option, where it's like, if you're going to double Ant or you're going to double Julius and Dante's one pass away, that's one of the best shots that this team can generate. And it does kind of pick your poison. It's like, okay, well, we can't cheat off Dante. Well, now you have Ant or Julius or even Jaden in a one-on-one. So that part of the offense, I think, is starting to grow. And it's why they have the 4th best offense in the league through the first 3 weeks.
Good stuff. Thanks for squeezing me in. I know you got a lot going on a Monday today. I had to book this a week in advance. It's so difficult. You do appear, speaking of Dane Moore, who probably does the most thorough Timberwolves podcast. Every 5 minutes he does one. And you're in the rotation. Do you still do Flagrant Howls? Are you on there on occasion?
I still stop by there a little bit. Yeah, mainly doing the stuff with Dane. So the podcast is growing. We're trying to go 4 or 5 times a week. We've got a special fun guest coming up later this week that I can't say yet who, but that'll be fun. And then, just keep doing game recaps and kind of monthly reviews as we navigate what is a really long NBA season, but the ups and downs make it so much fun.
I'm just going to have fun and try to guess the guest. Is he connected to the Timberwolves?
Yes, that is correct.
Does he work for the Timberwolves now?
He does.
Okay. Jim Peter, Michael Grady?
Neither of those. You're going to like this one. Once we drop it on Friday or Saturday, you're going to be like, okay, that was a fun episode. This person, from my understanding, has not done a podcast since he got to Minnesota.
Oh.
I'll text you.
Julius Randle. Okay.
Goosebumps. I have a homework assignment for you really quick because
you're
friends with him and I just look up to him. But our mutual, I guess, Ryan Russillo.
Yeah.
You're a basketball historian. He had a tweet last night. It was just an old clip. I'll send it to you after this.
Of the Celtics, right?
1987 NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
I just want you to watch it. And I want you, maybe next time you have him on, but I think it was a fascinating 8-second clip into what basketball used to be. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, my dad's 2 favorite players. But basketball was a little different back then. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, I didn't click on it, but I think his thing was only 2 of these guys could still play, they treat the guys playing now would be like aliens or something.
If they dropped Wemby into that 1987 playoff matchup between what looks like the Pistons and the Celtics, Wemby would be arrested because they'd be like, you're not a human being.
Right. I always scoff at when they say, oh, they act like these guys have different muscles now. Or Dr. J is more athletic. Like Pat Riley called Dr. J an alien because he was holding the ball and extending and dunking and finger rolling on everybody. These guys could play. They would just make adjustments, but I don't know.
They also had this. Yeah, they also would have, if Michael Jordan would have had the treatment and the physical therapists and massage therapists and trainers back in his day, you don't think he could have done what Ant's doing now? So I'm with you on that. It was just eye-opening to see This guy made a jab step and then just walked to the rim. And it's like, okay, that's a little
Right.
different level of basketball than maybe you and I watched last night.
My contention, and I said this a number of years ago, the Showtime Lakers, 87, 88, I think they might be the best team of all time, better than the 90s Bulls, but that's just me. Because there was expansion after in 89, 90. You had 4 teams come in: Vancouver Grizzlies, the Wolves, the Heat. I think it was Charlotte. I can't remember. But so the talent was somewhat diluted. But that Laker team, as a team, for the regular season, shot 52% as a team, 52%.
Oh, that's crazy.
And my belief is that these coaches got more pressure on them. The coaches are now paid more, and they emphasize defense more. So I believe the defensive intensity has increased since the 80s. Not the physicality, because they don't allow what they used to allow with hard fouls. But because of that, it's a little more difficult. And you remember Stacey Augmon or not?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't a fan of, he's a defensive specialist who can't shoot. I didn't like that. But anyways, you got a lot of good defender. You know, you got the Josh Okogis and stuff who aren't great shooters in the league. But anyways, good stuff. I'll check it out. You're the man. It's comforting Comedic Kyle. I'm Craig Kilborn. We will see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.